The Pahlavi family expressed its appreciation for the support and love offered by the Iranian community and others following the suicide in Boston of Ali Reza Pahlavi. His older brother, Reza, told a news conference about the depression which took his brother's life.
We mourn today the succumbing of our beloved Ali Reza to the weight, pain, and daily burdens of this grave illness, and because of its robbing the promise of yet another life unfulfilled.
And joining me now is Prince Reza Pahlavi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Were there any signs that this might happen?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, when you know that people who suffer from this illness may plausibly sometime end up like my brother did, you never rule out a possibility. But in terms of saying that we expected it, not necessarily. It's very hard for me to put it in any terms that makes either scientific or medical sense. But it has its ups and downs, and unfortunately, I already had a younger sister succumbing to it, and now, unfortunately, my brother as well.
What do you think contributed? I understand we can never know, but for two of your siblings to have taken their own life?
There are perhaps many factors, but one of them, which is I think quite obvious, is everything that happened at the time they were very young, with the revolution, my father's illness, his passing, something that they both had a difficult time to cope with. My brother Ali Reza and my sister Leila were also very, very close to one another, age-wise, a little bit similar to myself and my sister Farah. So we only had about two and a half years of age difference. So my brother was specifically, on top of losing his father, very much affected by what happened to his sister, and this is something that kept coming back. He was someone who did value life. He was an avid scuba diver. He liked to travel. People who know him knew of what a harmless person he is, full of sense of humor and all that. So, what happens internally is hard to see externally. What happens in one's thinking is very hard for the rest of us not having that problem to really understand.
How are you coping with the pressures, the legacy, and the events that continue today in Iran?
If you ask me how I cope with it, well, my case is a bit different because being in a very unique situation, I know that there are so many Iranians who rely on something that I could do for them. It has always been for me a sense of duty, first and foremost, as an Iranian to my country, but also knowing that there's a tremendous historical weight on my shoulders that I'm trying to carry to the best of my ability. But my focus has always been that, and perhaps being like that, my focus has been very much predetermined. It's a bit harder when you are a sibling. What do they do with their lives? In what way does it play into the picture? So I must say that on this hand, I always had the unconditional support of my brother, of my sister, and they were just as committed. Unfortunately, they had their difficulties, and it is sad to see that they took that path, which ended up with them both losing their lives.
Well, you had been texting with him in the last week or so. We thank you for your time. Your younger brother's wishes were for cremation and for the remains to be scattered in the Caspian Sea. Difficult time for you, Crown Prince. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Richard Roth, CNN, in Boston.